Hello there. Today at lunch, I stopped into the Salvation Army, as I like to do at least once a week. And while I didn't find any, VHS or Blu-rays or DVDs, video games or CDs, I did find a couple of books. Now, the reason why I looked at these, was they're by the same author. Nobody I've ever heard of. But the titles of the books kind of have a horror feel to them. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. Let me check these out. Never heard of this guy, and finding cheap horror from lesser known authors is always a good thing. And the author in question here is Robert Liparulo. Now, reading it, about the author, as they often have here, talked about, how people are bidding on his work, and on the front it has, from the acclaimed author of Comes a Horseman, standard marketing type things that you do. But yeah, it was really the names that really caught my eye. The first one I picked up, I picked up both of them, but the first book was called Germ. Take a look at that. The cover is quite cool. It's a matte finish, but there's the little dots and such are raised, and they have like a glossy finish, as is the lettering here. So that, when I picked that up, I was like, okay, this is cool. I gotta find out what this book is about. And here, I'll read the spine thing, and this is what sold me. Germ. Fact. Since 1962, all industrialized nations routinely administer the Guthrie test to their newborns. In the test, a blood sample is drawn from a baby's heel to check for certain genetic diseases. Fact. Most Guthrie cards with these blood spots are stored in warehouses and never destroyed. The blood on these cards contains DNA that identifies the donors. Fact. With the advent of gene splicing, scientists are capable of encoding viruses with human DNA. This gives viruses, germs, the ability to find specific DNA, specific people. You. That sold me. Essentially, I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, so this is going to be like some kind of a thriller, sci-fi, maybe political thing going on. I don't know. I don't know anything other than that, but I instantly got drawn to it. Cover, first the name, then the cover, then I read that and I was like, okay, this is awesome. This is a standalone. I've never heard of this guy. I'm going to check out what the other book is. The other book is called Deadfall, a thriller. And on the front, again, marketing genius here, for at least for me. This is the, an excerpt from the review of Catherine Neville from the New York Times, best-selling author of The Eight. What if Mad Max, Rambo, and the Wild Bunch showed up all packing Star Wars-like weapons? Liparulo reminds us that small-town life is still the scariest, and man's inhumanity to man... Oh, and man's inhumanity to man is still the most dangerous game. The most dangerous game in all capital letters referring to the story, the most dangerous game. So again, I'm like, that's... okay. That's interesting. And then I turn it to the back. And here's what I read. Deep in the isolated Northwest Territories, 4 friends are on the trip of a lifetime. Dropped by helicopter into the remote Canadian wilderness, Hutch, Terry, Phil, and David are looking to escape the events of a tumultuous year, a bitter divorce, bankruptcy, depression, and job loss, for 2 weeks of hunting, fishing, and camping. It goes on, but I don't... If you know that I'm Canadian, when I read it's in the Northwest Territories, I thought this guy might have been Canadian. Now, when I open it up, it says he lives in Colorado. But the book is set in Canada. Now that is an odd thing to do. If he's an American living in the States and he's an author, you expect most of his stories, if not all of them, to take place in the US. Sometimes you go outside of that. But what you don't find very often is for an entire story to take place in Canada unless it's written by a Canadian. Some authors do, take trips into Canada or have Canadian involvement. But for the, World War Z, they go into Canada, but the book's all over the world, right? So it only makes sense that when the U.S. people are going north to escape the zombies, that they go to Canada, because that's what's north, right? But to have an entire book set in Canada, I'm wondering if, it got me thinking, is he actually Canadian? And now he's just living in the States now? Or is he an American who, for some strange reason, maybe he visited the Northwest Territories. I mean, he's from Colorado, so, going to the Northwest Territories, maybe he figures it's the exact same, or he's gone there for a trip for some reason. Maybe doing some hunting and fishing or something like that, but for an American to do an entire book on, set in Canada, very uncommon. So, yeah. I immediately picked this up. I was hoping... I looked through all the other ones. I was like, oh, man, I hope they have that Comes a Horseman in here as well, because I would love to get some more, but they only had the 2. Now, if I do enjoy both of these, I will see if I can look up other ones, but here's something you need to know. When I buy books, I buy hardcover. I tend to try and stay away from paperbacks unless the book is only available in paperback, or most of the series is in paperback and they've only released certain stories in hardcover, say like whether it be like Star Wars or Star Trek or X-Files or Warcraft or whatever. I mean, all of these things are generally paperback releases, but you will find hardcover releases of some of the stories. They especially from some of the more popular writers. But because I don't think all of them are available in hardcover, I'm perfectly willing to stick to the softcover versions. But whenever I can, I will get hardcover, because I just think they look better on the shelf, even though they take up more space. Hey, it's my prerogative, right? So yeah, if I can find them cheap, like I did with these ones at the the Salvation Army, I'll pick them up. I do have probably a few hundred books to read, and I'm a really slow reader, but I'll get to it. I'll get to it eventually. Maybe I'll win the lottery tomorrow, or I think it's Friday the lottery goes off, and maybe I can, not work as much. Cross my fingers. So yeah, anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know if you've ever heard of this guy, or if you've read these books. Let me know what you think. Don't give me any plot, don't spoil it. No spoilers. I don't like spoilers. But let me know if you liked them, if you would recommend them, and if you don't like them, I still want to know. I'm still gonna read them eventually. But yeah, everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? So let me know. You know where to post the stuff down on the doobly-doo. And until next time, I will catch you later. Take care.